there's something happening that no one wants to name directly. Women in their 20s and 30s, the ones who are supposed to want the young entrepreneurs and the gym bros with perfect abs, are turning their attention somewhere else. They're looking at men over 50, not in secret, not with shame, openly, deliberately. And the reasons have nothing to do with what you've been told about daddy issues or gold digging. This isn't a trend, it's a recognition, a pattern emerging from beneath the surface of what we pretend relationships are supposed to be. Let's talk about what's really happening here. Reason 1, they've stopped performing potential. A man in his 20s or 30s is still auditioning for his own life. He's still figuring out who he wants to be, what he stands for, whether he'll actually follow through on the things he says matter to him. He's a maybe, a work in progress, a series of promises wrapped in optimism and caffeine. Women are tired of watching men rehearse. A man over 50 has already become whoever he's going to be. The performance is over. What you see is what you get. There's no more potential to project onto him, no fantasy version of him that might emerge if you just support him enough, believe in him enough, wait long enough. He's already failed at some things. He's already succeeded at others. He knows which battles he's willing to fight and which ones aren't worth his energy anymore. There's a relief in that certainty. A strange comfort in knowing that this version of him is the final draft. You can't fix him. You can't improve him. You can't mold him into something better. And for women who have spent years trying to turn potential into reality with men who never quite got there, that inability to change him feels like freedom. Reason 2, the validation comes pre-installed. Younger men are still seeking approval from their friends, from their parents, from social media, from the world. They need you to fit into the image they're trying to project. The right look, the right interests, the right level of impressive when they introduce you to people who matter. Your value to them is partially social currency. Men over 50 have already received whatever validation they're going to get from the world. They've either built something that matters to them or they haven't. They've either earned respect in their field or they've made peace with not having it. The external approval they were chasing in their 20s and 30s has either arrived or been abandoned as a worthless pursuit, which means they don't need you to make them look good. They're not dating you to prove something to their friends or to fill a gap in their identity. They're not using you as evidence that they're still relevant, still desirable, still winning at life. They want you because they actually want you. Not the idea of you, not what you represent, you. That kind of attention feels different. It doesn't come with conditions you have to meet or standards you have to maintain. It's not contingent on you being impressive enough or interesting enough or attractive enough by someone else's metrics. It just is. Reason 3, they're not afraid of your complexity. Young men want simple. They want easy. They want a woman who doesn't require too much emotional labor or self-reflection or uncomfortable conversations about things that matter. They want someone who fits neatly into their life without demanding that they grow or change or examine themselves too closely. Complexity scares them. Depth makes them uncomfortable. They've been trained to see emotional intelligence as a burden rather than a skill worth developing. Men over 50 have had decades to realize that simplicity is boring. That easy is unfulfilling. That the women worth knowing are the ones who challenge you, who make you think, who refuse to shrink themselves to fit into a box labeled low maintenance. They've been through enough relationships to know that the best ones aren't the easiest ones. They've learned that a woman with opinions, with standards, with a life that doesn't revolve around making a man comfortable is worth the effort it takes to meet her where she is. Your contradictions don't confuse them. Your ambitions don't threaten them. Your need for space, for independence, for a life beyond the relationship doesn't feel like rejection. It feels normal, expected, healthy. They're not looking for someone to complete them. They're looking for someone to complement them. There's a difference. When he looks in the mirror and sees someone he doesn't quite recognize, when he understands that time is finite and most of his life is already behind him. For men in their 20s and 30s, that crisis is still coming. They're still operating under the illusion that they have infinite time to figure things out, to start over, to become whoever they want to be. They're still reckless with time because they don't yet understand how limited it is. Men over 50 have already walked through that fire. They've already had the breakdown. They've already questioned everything. They've already faced the reality that they're mortal, that their time is running out, that the life they're living right now is the only one they're going to get. And they've come out the other side with clarity. They know what matters. They know what doesn't. They know which moments are worth savoring and which ones can be let go. They're not wasting time on meaningless drama or pointless arguments or relationships that don't add value to their life. That focus is attractive. That certainty is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who have already done the work of figuring out who they are and what they want, because it means they're not going to wake up at 45 and blow up their entire life in search of something they think they missed. The instability has already passed. What's left is steadiness. Reason 5, they understand the transaction. Young men pretend relationships aren't transactional. They talk about love like it's some pure, untainted thing that exists outside of needs and exchanges and mutual benefit. They want to believe that romance is separate from practicality, that desire has nothing to do with what each person brings to the table. It's a beautiful lie, and it's exhausting to maintain. Men over 50 stopped lying to themselves about this years ago. They know that relationships are exchanges, not in a cold, calculating way, but in an honest one. They understand that both people are bringing something to the dynamic, that both people are getting something they need, that the relationship works because it serves both parties. They're not ashamed of that reality. They know what they offer: financial stability, life experience, emotional maturity, a certain kind of security that comes from having already survived most of life's major challenges. They're not pretending they don't have advantages that younger men don't. And they know what they want in return: vitality, energy, a different perspective, the kind of presence that reminds them they're still alive, still capable of feeling something new. The transaction is acknowledged, which means it's honest. There's no pretending it's something it's not. No pressure to perform a relationship script that doesn't actually match the reality of what's happening between two people. That honesty is rare. And for women who are tired of pretending that love is supposed to be something other than two people meeting each other's needs in a way that feels good to both of them, that honesty is everything. What this really means: this isn't about age. Not really. It's about what age tends to produce in men who've been paying attention: self-awareness, clarity, the ability to be present without needing to prove anything, the willingness to let a woman be exactly who she is without trying to shape her into someone easier to manage. Not all men over 50 have these qualities. Plenty of them are still chasing youth, still trying to recapture something they think they lost, still performing masculinity like they did in their 20s, still afraid, still insecure, still needing external validation to feel like they matter. But the ones who've actually grown, the ones who face their own mortality and come out the other side with perspective, they're different. And women notice. This isn't a judgment on younger men. It's an observation about what experience tends to produce, about what happens when someone has lived long enough to stop pretending, to stop performing, to stop needing to be anything other than what they actually are. Women aren't obsessed with older men because of some psychological flaw or unresolved trauma. They're drawn to them because those men have something that younger men are still working toward. Something that can't be faked or rushed or acquired through confidence alone. They have the one thing that time eventually gives to those who pay attention. They stop lying to themselves. And in a world built on illusions about what relationships are supposed to be, that kind of honesty is magnetic. You can call it preference. You can call it a phase. You can call it whatever makes you comfortable. But it's happening. And it's not stopping.